Park Yuna had never felt so alone in her entire life. The Galactic Academy was supposed to be an honor. Humans had only been part of the galactic community for 50 years, and very few were chosen to study among the stars. Yuna was supposed to feel proud. Instead, she felt like a bug under glass, something strange and primitive for others to study and mock. She walked through the gleaming, white corridors with her head down. Her shoes made soft sounds on the metal floor. All around her, alien students moved in groups, their strange languages filling the air like music she could not understand. Some had scales. Some had feathers. Some had no eyes at all. And all of them looked at her with the same expression: curiosity, disgust, pity. "Deathworlder," she heard someone whisper. The word followed her everywhere. Earth was classified as a death world. A planet so dangerous, so full of predators and disease and natural disasters, that most species could not survive there for a single day. Humans were considered strange because they had not only survived, but thrived. This should have earned them respect. Instead, it made other species afraid and cruel. Yuna reached her assigned duty station and stopped. Her heart sank as she read the door marker. Restricted Wing 7, the punishment block. 3 days ago, she had defended herself. A group of students from the Varith system had surrounded her in the dining hall. They had called her primitive, savage. One of them had grabbed her arm hard enough to leave bruises. Without thinking, Yuna had pushed back. The Varith student had fallen. He was fine, but he had screamed as if she had tried to kill him. The Academy had ruled it as human aggression. Yuna was not surprised. They always blamed the human. Now she had to clean the restricted wing for 30 days. The wing where they kept dangerous specimens. Failed experiments. Creatures too violent for normal containment. Yuna pressed her hand to the scanner and the door slid open. The corridor beyond was darker than the rest of the station. Emergency lights glowed red along the floor. The air was cold and carried a strange smell, something wild and ancient. Yuna pulled her cleaning cart forward and began her work. She cleaned the floors. She wiped the walls. She tried not to look at the containment cells on either side. Most were empty. Some held things she did not want to see clearly. Twisted shapes that moved in ways that hurt her eyes. Creatures that pressed against the glass and made sounds that felt like screaming inside her head. She worked faster. Then she reached the final cell, and she stopped. The creature inside was massive. It stood nearly 3 meters tall, even while sitting on its haunches. 6 powerful limbs folded beneath a body covered in scales that looked like black glass. Its head was broad and flat, with no visible ears and no nose. Just a wide mouth full of teeth like knives and eyes. 2 enormous eyes that burned like amber fire. Yuna should have been afraid. Every instinct should have told her to run. But she had grown up on Earth, a world where humans had once faced creatures just as terrifying and survived. Fear was familiar to her. It did not control her. She looked at the creature. The creature looked at her. Something passed between them. Yuna could not explain it. It was like recognition. Like 2 strangers meeting in a foreign land and realizing they came from the same place. The creature was pacing. She had noticed that immediately. Back and forth, like a caged tiger she had once seen in an old Earth zoo. The movement was restless and desperate. Yuna should have continued cleaning. She should have finished her work and left. Instead, she sat down on the cold floor outside the cell. She pulled out her study tablet and began to read aloud. It was just her homework. A boring text about galactic trade laws. Her voice was soft and steady, filling the silence of the restricted wing. The creature stopped pacing. Yuna kept reading. She did not look up. She did not make any sudden movements. She just let her voice flow like water, calm and constant. Minutes passed. Then an hour. When she finally looked up, the creature had sat down. Its massive body was pressed against the glass, as close to her as it could get. Its burning eyes were fixed on her face, but they no longer looked wild. They looked tired, sad, lonely. Yuna understood those feelings. Very well. She finished the chapter and closed her tablet. Slowly, carefully, she stood up. The creature did not move. It just watched her with those ancient golden eyes. I have to go now, Yuna said softly. But I'll come back tomorrow. Okay, the creature made a sound. It was low and deep, more vibration than noise. It rumbled through the floor and into Yuna's bones. It should have been frightening, Dot. It sounded like goodbye. Yuna walked away with her heart beating strangely in her chest. She did not know what she was doing. She did not know why she cared about a monster in a cage, but she knew she would come back. She came back the next night, and the night after that. Each time she sat outside the cell and read aloud. Each time the creature sat and listened. It never threatened her. It never snarled or struck the glass. Dot. It waited for her on the fifth night. Kim Do-yeon found her. Do-yeon was like an older brother to Yuna. He was a teaching assistant at the academy, one of the few other humans on the station. He had promised her parents he would protect her. He did not look happy. What are you doing? He whispered, pulling her away from the cell. Do you know what that thing is? It's killed 12 handlers. 12. Yuna looked back at the creature. It was watching them with those sad golden eyes. It's not a thing, she said quietly. And I don't think it wanted to kill anyone. I think it was scared. Before Do-yeon could respond, his communicator beeped. He read the message and his face went pale. There's going to be a demonstration, he said. Some visiting dignitary wants to see the creature fight. They're going to starve it for 3 days to make it more aggressive. Yuna felt something cold settle in her stomach. When? 1 week from now. Yuna looked at the creature. It looked back at her. She did not know how, but she was going to save it. Yuna spent the next 3 days searching for information. She used every free moment between classes to access the academy archives. Most files about the creature were locked, but Yuna was patient. She watched. She listened. She learned which maintenance workers had access codes and which security guards took long breaks. Humans were survivors. They always found a way on the third night. She finally found what she was looking for. The creature came from a planet called HFY. It was a death world, one of the most dangerous in the known galaxy. The surface was covered in massive forests filled with predators that could tear through starship metal. No species had ever successfully colonized it, except humans. Yuna felt her breath catch as she read. 30 years ago, a small group of human explorers had landed on HFY. They had survived for 18 months before rescue arrived. When the rescue ship came, the explorers refused to leave. They had built a home. They had learned to live alongside the planet's dangerous creatures. The colony still existed. Today, Yuna scrolled down and found the creature's capture report. Her hands began to shake as she read, Subject 17 was captured during a scientific expedition to HFY. The creature showed high intelligence and was selected for study. During capture, the expedition team eliminated 3 smaller creatures of the same species that were interfering with. Extraction. 3 smaller creatures. Yuna covered her mouth with her hand. She felt sick. They had killed its children. The creature had not attacked the handlers out of mindless rage. It had attacked because they had murdered its family and dragged it away from its home. She closed the file and sat in the darkness of her small room. Tears ran down her face, but she did not make a sound. She had learned long ago that crying too loudly attracted attention. On a station where everyone already thought humans were too emotional, she could not afford to be heard. The next night she went back to the restricted wing. The creature was waiting for her. It always waited now. As soon as she appeared at the end of the corridor, it would rise and press against the glass, making that low rumbling sound that Yuna had come to understand as greeting. She sat down in her usual spot. But tonight she did not read from her tablet. I know what happened to you, she said softly. I know about your children. I'm so sorry. The creature went still, its amber eyes fixed on her face with terrible intensity. I know you're not a monster, Yuna continued. You're a parent who lost everything. You're alone and scared and angry. I understand. I really do. She pressed her palm against the cold glass. On the other side, the creature slowly raised one massive limb and pressed it against the same spot. The glass was thick and cold, but Yuna imagined she could feel warmth. I'm going to call you Barum, she said. It means wind in my language. Because of the sound you make when I arrive. That soft sound like wind through trees. Barum made the sound then. Low and gentle and sad. I don't know how to save you, Yuna admitted. I'm just one small human. I have no power here. Everyone thinks I'm primitive and stupid. But I promise I'm going to try. I won't let them hurt you anymore. She stayed longer that night. She told Barum about Earth, about the forests and oceans and mountains, about tigers and wolves and great white sharks, about how humans had once been afraid of these creatures but had learned to respect them instead. We came from a death world too, she said. Everyone here thinks that makes us lesser, but I think it makes us understand things they never will. We know what it's like to fight for survival. We know what it's like to lose family. We know what it's like to be alone in a dangerous world. Barum listened. Its eyes never left her face. When Yuna finally stood to leave, the creature made a different sound. It was higher and more urgent, distressed. I'll come back, Yuna promised. I always come back. She walked away, but she looked over her shoulder 3 times before she reached the door. The next morning, Do-yeon was waiting outside her room. I followed you last night, he said. His face was pale. I saw everything. Yuna felt fear grip her heart. Please don't report me. Report you? Do-yeon shook his head. Yuna, I'm not going to report you. I'm going to help you. She stared at him. I watched that creature with you, he said quietly. I saw how it responded to you. In all my years on this station, I've never seen anything like it. That's not a mindless beast. That's a thinking, feeling being that has somehow decided to trust you. It was protecting its children, Yuna whispered. When it killed those handlers, they murdered its babies right in front of it. Do-yeon closed his eyes. When he opened them, there was anger in them. Not at Yuna, at the academy. The demonstration is in 4 days, he said. They've already stopped feeding it. The administrators want it weak enough to control, but angry enough to put on a good show. We have to stop them. How? We're humans. Nobody listens to us. Yuna thought about the creature pressing its limb against the glass. She thought about those sad amber eyes. She thought about a parent watching its children die. Then we don't ask for permission, she said. We find another way. Do-yeon studied her face for a long moment. Then he nodded slowly. There's a maintenance access tunnel that leads to the arena floor. I know a technician who owes me a favor. I might be able to get a keycard. Do it, Yuna. If we're caught, they'll expel us. They might arrest us. My parents raised me to do what's right, Yuna said firmly. Even when it's hard. Even when it's dangerous. That's what humans do. We don't look away when something is suffering. We help, Do-yeon smiled then. It was small and tired and proud. You really are something special, he said. All right. Let's save your monster. That night, Yuna went back to the restricted wing one more time. Barum was waiting as always, but it looked weaker now. Its scales had lost some of their shine. Its movements were slower, they were starving it. Just like the files said, Yuna sat down and pressed her hand to the glass. Hold on, she whispered. Just hold on a little longer. I'm coming for you. Barum made its low rumbling sound. It almost sounded like it understood. Maybe it did. The grand exhibition hall was filled with monsters, not the kind behind glass. The kind wearing expensive clothes and sitting in comfortable seats. Laughing and drinking as they waited for blood, Yuna sat in the back row with her hands folded in her lap. She wore her student uniform and kept her head down. Nobody looked at her. Nobody ever did. Today, that invisibility was useful. The hall was enormous. It could hold thousands of beings from across the galaxy. The seats rose up in circles around a central arena made of reinforced glass and metal. Giant screens floated in the air so everyone could see the violence clearly. This was entertainment to them. This was fun. Yuna felt hate burning in her chest like a cold fire. She pushed it down. She needed to think clearly. Do-yeon had managed to get the keycard. It was hidden in her pocket, small and heavy against her leg. He was waiting at the maintenance entrance on the arena level. When the moment was right, he would create a distraction. Then it was up to her. A horn sounded. The crowd cheered. The floor of the arena slid open, and Bahram rose into the light. Yuna's breath caught in her throat. The creature looked terrible. 4 days without food had taken a heavy toll. Its black scales were dull and cracked. Its powerful limbs trembled with every step. Its amber eyes, once bright with intelligence, were clouded with pain and confusion, but it was still fighting. Guards surrounded it with electric prods, forcing it forward. Every time Bahram tried to stop, they jabbed it with blue lightning. The creature roared with pain and anger. The crowd loved it. "Ladies and gentlemen," a voice announced, "today we present Subject 17, captured from the Death World HFY. Watch as this primitive beast demonstrates the savage nature of Death World creatures." A panel opened in the arena floor. 6 combat drones rose into the air, their weapons gleaming under the lights. Yuna understood then. They were not going to fight the creature themselves. They were going to make machines torture it until it attacked, and then they would call it proof that Death World creatures were monsters. The drones moved first. They fired nets that wrapped around Bahram's limbs. They shot electric bolts that made the creature scream. They circled and attacked from all angles, never giving it a moment to rest. Bahram fought back. It tore through nets and swatted drones from the air. But it was weak. So weak. Every movement was slower than the last. The crowd cheered louder with every hit. "Kill it! Kill it!" Yuna could not breathe. She could not think. She could only watch as the creature that had trusted her was beaten down again and again. Then a drone landed a direct hit on Bahram's head. The creature collapsed. Its massive body crashed to the arena floor with a sound that echoed through the hall. It tried to rise, but its legs would not support it. The crowd laughed. They laughed at its pain. They laughed at its weakness. They pointed and took pictures as if this was the funniest thing they had ever seen. Something broke inside Yuna. She stood up. She pushed through the row of seats. She ran. Someone shouted at her. A security guard tried to grab her arm. She twisted free with a move her mother had taught her back on Earth. Another guard blocked her path. She ducked under his reach and kept running. The keycard. The maintenance door. The tunnel. Yuna ran faster than she had ever run in her life. Her lungs burned. Her legs ached. She did not stop. She burst out onto the arena floor just as the drones were moving in for another attack. "Stop!" Her voice echoed through the hall. The drones paused. The crowd went silent. Every eye in the arena turned to look at the small human girl standing between the machines and the fallen beast. Yuna spread her arms wide. Her whole body was shaking, but she did not move. "You want to see a savage?" she shouted. "Look in the mirror. Look at yourselves. You're the monsters here, not this creature." The crowd began to murmur. Some laughed. Some looked uncomfortable. An administrator's voice came over the speakers. "Security, remove the human student from the arena immediately." Guards began moving toward her. Yuna stood her ground. Behind her. She heard movement. She turned her head slowly. Bahram was rising. The creature's legs shook. Its body swayed. But it was standing. And it was looking at her with those amber eyes, now burning brighter than she had ever seen them. It took one step toward her. Then another. The guards stopped. The drones backed away. Even the crowd fell silent. Bahram reached Yuna. Its massive body curved around her like a shield. Its head lowered until it was level with hers. Hot breath washed over her face. It did not attack her. It did not threaten her. It protected her. Yuna reached up with trembling hands and touched the creature's face. Bahram leaned into her palm like a cat seeking comfort. "I'm here," she whispered. "I told you I would come." The creature made its sound. That low, gentle rumble that meant greeting. That meant friend. That meant family. Behind them, the arena's containment field began to flicker. Alarms blared throughout the hall. The administrator's voice came again, now tight with fear. "The field is failing. Everyone evacuate immediately." "Repeat, the field is failing." Chaos erupted. The crowd stampeded toward the exits. Guards shouted conflicting orders. Drones crashed to the ground as their control signals cut out, but in the center of the arena, surrounded by madness, a girl and a monster stood perfectly still. Yuna looked up at Bahram. Bahram looked down at her. "Whatever happens next," she said, "I'm glad I met you." The containment field shattered with a sound like breaking stars, and the beast was finally free. The moment the containment field fell, everything changed. Bahram could escape now. 3 years of captivity, 3 years of pain and torture, and now nothing stood between the creature and freedom. It could run. It could fight. It could take revenge on every being who had hurt it. Instead, it looked down at the small human girl still standing beneath its shadow. Yuna looked back with eyes that held no fear. Only trust. Bahram made a decision. The creature lowered its body and nudged Yuna gently with its massive head. The meaning was clear. "Climb on." Yuna hesitated for only a second. Then she grabbed the thick scales along Bahram's neck and pulled herself up. The creature's body was warm beneath her, and she could feel its heart beating fast and strong. Guards were flooding into the arena now. They carried weapons Yuna did not recognize. All pointed at Bahram. Their commanders shouted orders in a dozen different languages. "Fire on my command!" Bahram moved before they could shoot. The creature was fast. Even weakened from starvation, it crossed the arena floor in 3 massive leaps. Yuna held on tight, pressing her face against the warm scales. Wind rushed past her ears. She heard weapons firing behind them, but the shots went wide. They burst through a service door, tearing the metal off its frame. Emergency lights turned the corridor red. Alarms screamed from every direction. Yuna's communicator buzzed in her pocket. She fumbled it out with one hand while holding on to Bahram with the other. "Yuna!" Doyan's voice was tight with fear. "Where are you?" "Riding the beast through Corridor 7. "Where are you?" A pause. "Did you just say riding the beast?" "East loading dock." "You said there's a shuttle." "I'm already here?" "But Yuna, there's no way I can." "Just be ready." She shoved the communicator back in her pocket as Bahram turned a corner. A squad of guards blocked the corridor ahead. Their weapons were raised and ready. Yuna felt Bahram's muscles tense beneath her. She knew the creature could kill them all. It was strong enough even now. She also knew what would happen if it did. Every fear the galaxy had about Deathworld creatures would be proven right. "Don't kill them," she whispered. "Please find another way." Bahram paused. Its amber eyes studied the guards. Then it lowered its head and charged, but it did not use its teeth. It did not use its claws. It used its body like a battering ram, smashing through the squad and sending guards flying in every direction. Weapons shattered. Armor cracked. But when the dust cleared, every guard was alive. Bruised and terrified, but breathing, Yuna felt tears forming in her eyes. Even after everything they had done to it, Bahram was showing mercy. Because she had asked, they continued through the station. More guards came. More weapons fired. Bahram dodged and weaved, protecting Yuna on its back while refusing to kill. It broke walls instead of bodies. It destroyed machines instead of people. The aliens watching would never understand this. They would see only the destruction and miss the restraint. They would see only the monster and miss the mercy. But Yuna understood. And that was enough. They rounded a final corner and found their path blocked. A young alien lay on the floor, injured and unable to move. She was a Velith, a species with soft blue skin and large dark eyes. Her leg was bent at an unnatural angle, and she was crying softly with pain. Yuna recognized her. This was Hannah, one of the few aliens who had ever shown her kindness. Once, in the dining hall, when other students were mocking Yuna's human food, Hannah had sat next to her and shared a meal in silence. It was a small thing, but Yuna had never forgotten it. "Stop," Yuna said. Bahram stopped immediately. It looked down at the injured alien with those burning eyes. Hannah screamed. She tried to crawl away, but her broken leg made it impossible. Terror twisted her face into something ugly. Yuna climbed down from Bahram's back. She walked slowly toward Hannah, keeping her hands visible and her movements calm. "It's okay," she said gently. We're not going to hurt you. Hannah stared at her with wild eyes. What? What are you doing? That thing will kill us both. No, Yuna said. She knelt beside Hannah and carefully helped her sit up. Baram won't hurt anyone who doesn't threaten us. I promise. Baram. That's its name. I gave it one. Everything deserves a name. Behind them, Baram made its low rumbling sound. Hannah flinched, but Yuna smiled. See? It's saying hello. More guards were coming. Yuna could hear their footsteps echoing through the corridors. She needed to leave, but she could not abandon Hannah here. Can you stand if I help you? I don't know. Try, please. Together they struggled to their feet. Hannah leaned heavily on Yuna, her face pale with pain. They limped toward a small alcove where Hannah could shelter safely. Why are you helping me? Hannah whispered. I'm not your friend. I barely know you. Yuna helped her sit down against the wall. You shared a meal with me once when everyone else was laughing. You didn't have to do that. It meant more than you know. Hannah looked at her with something new in her eyes. Not fear. Not pity. Understanding. They're wrong about humans, she said quietly. All of them. They're so wrong. Yuna squeezed her hand once. Then turned back to Baram. The creature had waited patiently through everything, never moving, never threatening. Thank you, Hannah called out as Yuna climbed back onto Baram's back. Thank you for not letting it kill us. Yuna looked over her shoulder. It was never going to. That's what everyone here keeps getting wrong. Strength doesn't mean cruelty. Power doesn't mean evil. We learned that on Earth a long time ago. Then Baram leaped forward and they were gone. The east loading dock was close now. Yuna could see the shuttle bay doors ahead. She could see Doyun standing beside a small transport ship, waving frantically. But between them and freedom stood one more obstacle, the Academy. Director stood in the center of the corridor. He was a tall alien with silver skin and cold black eyes. In his hand he held a small device. Stop, he said calmly, or I will detonate the explosive collar around your creature's neck. Yuna's blood went cold. She looked at Baram's neck and finally noticed it. Hidden among the black scales was a thin metal band that she had never seen before. A collar, a bomb. The director smiled without warmth. I wondered when you would notice. It was installed when Subject 17 first arrived. Insurance, you understand. Now, climb down from that beast and surrender. Perhaps I will allow you to live. Yuna's hands trembled on Baram's scales, but she did not climb down. No, she said. The director's smile faded. You would die for this monster? Yuna thought about everything she had learned. About Baram's lost children. About humanity's struggles to be accepted. About kindness and cruelty and what truly made someone civilized. It's not a monster, she said. And neither am I, but if you want to prove that you are, then push that button. The director's finger tightened on the detonator. Behind him, the shuttle bay doors opened and cameras began to roll. The cameras had been Dayon's idea. While Yuna was riding Baram through the station, he had contacted every news network in the sector. He had told them about the creature, about the abuse, about the human girl who had chosen to stand against an empire. Now dozens of drones floated in the air, broadcasting everything to billions of viewers across the galaxy. The director's face went pale as he realized what was happening. His hand hesitated over the detonator. Killing a beast was one thing. Killing a beast and a human child on live broadcast was something else entirely. Yuna saw her chance. She climbed down from Baram's back and walked forward slowly. The director pointed the detonator at her like a weapon. Stay back. No, Yuna kept walking. I have something to say and you're going to let me say it. She stopped in the center of the corridor, perfectly framed by the floating cameras. She was small and young and human. She looked like nothing compared to the alien powers watching her, but her voice did not shake. You call us Deathworlders, she began. You say we're savage and primitive, that we don't belong among civilized species. You keep us at the edges of your society and laugh at us when we try to fit in. The cameras captured every word. But I have seen your civilization now. I have seen what it truly is. Yuna pointed back at Barum, still waiting patiently behind her. You took this creature from its home. You murdered its children. You locked it in a cage for 3 years and tortured it for entertainment. And you called that science. You called that progress, her voice rose. When this creature finally broke free, it could have killed everyone on this station. It had every right to. But it didn't. Do you know why? She paused, letting the question hang in the air. Because I asked it not to. Because I showed it kindness. One small act of compassion from one small human girl, and it chose mercy over revenge. Yuna turned to look directly into the nearest camera. If that is savage, then I am proud to be savage. Because I have seen what your civilization truly means. It means cruelty without consequence. It means torture without guilt. It means calling yourself superior while proving you are worse than any beast. Across the galaxy billions watched. Humans on Earth and on colony worlds. Aliens who had never thought twice about Deathworlders. Leaders and common people alike, they watched a 19-year-old girl stand alone against everything they believed. The director found his voice at last. This is propaganda. This is a human trick. That creature is a mindless killer, and this girl has simply been lucky so far. Then release the collar, Yuna said. The director blinked. What? If Barum is really a mindless killer, if I've just been lucky, then release the collar and step aside. Let us leave. If you're right, the creature will attack. If you're wrong, ... she smiled. If you're wrong, then you've just been proven a liar in front of the entire galaxy. The director's face twisted with anger. But he could feel the weight of billions of eyes on him. He could see his career crumbling. He could feel power slipping through his fingers before he could decide. Barum moved. The creature rose to its full height, towering over everyone in the corridor. Its amber eyes fixed on the director with terrible intensity. Then slowly, deliberately, it reached up with one massive claw. It grabbed the collar around its own neck. Metal screamed as it tore. Sparks flew. The director stumbled back, his finger stabbing the detonator again and again, but the device in the collar had already been crushed. The collar fell to the ground in pieces. Barum had never been truly trapped. It had stayed because it chose to. Because of YUNA. The director ran. He shoved past cameras and disappeared into the chaos of the station. Yuna did not watch him go. She walked back to Barum and pressed her hand against its lowered head. Thank you, she whispered. You could have freed yourself any time. Why didn't you? Barum made its gentle sound. And somehow, Yuna understood. It had been waiting. Waiting for something worth living for. Waiting for someone who saw it as more than a monster. Waiting for her. Do-yun appeared at her side, his eyes wet with tears he was pretending not to cry. We need to go, now, before someone with more authority than that fool shows up. They boarded the shuttle together. Barum barely fit inside, but it curled its massive body into the smallest space it could manage. As the ship lifted off, Yuna looked out the window at the academy growing smaller below. She was a fugitive now. They all were, but she did not feel afraid. She felt free. 6 months later, a shuttle descended toward HFY. The planet was beautiful in a terrifying way. Massive forests covered every continent. Storms the size of cities swept across the sky. Everything about it screamed danger. Yuna loved it immediately. Do-yun stood beside her at the viewport. He had officially become her guardian after her parents agreed that returning to the academy was impossible. They had been afraid at first, but they had also been proud. Their daughter was famous now. The human girl who had tamed a monster. The speech she gave had been watched by more beings than any other broadcast in galactic history. Things were changing. Slowly, painfully, but changing. Humans were being seen differently. Deathworlders were being treated better. It was not enough, not yet, but it was a start. Are you sure about this? Do-yun asked. Yuna looked back at Barum. The creature had regained its strength over the past months. Its scales shone like polished obsidian. Its amber eyes burned with life instead of pain. It deserves to go home, she said, to find out if any of its family survived. The shuttle landed in a clearing near the human colony. The colonists had agreed to help, even though they were nervous. Having a creature like Barrow near their homes was not comfortable, but they trusted Yuna. Everyone trusted Yuna now. The cargo bay doors opened. Fresh air rushed in, carrying the smell of alien flowers and wild growth. Barham lifted its head and breathed deeply. Its whole body trembled. It remembered. This was home. Yuna walked down the ramp first. Barham followed slowly, its eyes taking in every detail. The trees, the sky, the mountains in the distance. For a long moment, the creature just stood there. Then it turned to Yuna. She walked forward and pressed her forehead against its massive head. She felt its warmth. She heard its heartbeat. Go, she whispered. Find your family. Be free. Barham made it sound one last time. It was louder and stronger than she had ever heard it. It echoed through the forest, and in the distance something answered. The creature pulled away from her. It looked at the trees. It looked at Yuna, then it turned and disappeared into the wilderness without looking back. Yuna did not cry. She smiled. 3 weeks later, a message arrived from the colony monitoring station. It included a picture taken by a remote camera. Barham stood at the edge of the forest, looking toward the human settlement. Not hunting, not threatening, watching, guarding. The message from the colony director read, Predator attacks have dropped to 0 since your friend arrived. I think it's still protecting you. All of us, actually. Yuna saved the picture to her personal files. She looked at it every night before she slept. A girl and her monster. A human and a beast. 2 Deathworlders who had found each other across the stars. The galaxy had tried to make them enemies. Instead, they had become family. And that, Yuna thought, was the most human thing of all.